welcome to the Token Nerd Podcast, where we ramble on about geeky things ranging from Batman to pop figures, and specifically in this episode,
Star Wars.
I'm your host, Travis Lykins.
And I'm apparently the co-host, Anthony Pettiford.
That's right.
Today we're going to sit back and we're going to talk about the movie that came out last week, Rogue One. We are a week behind everyone else in their reviews, but we decided let the dust clear.
Let all the people hate, and then we'll give our review.
And then we'll come out with, I don't know, we'll bring some light to all that darkness of setting. Shade. Okay. But this review episode, I figured, one, spoiler alert. Everything we're going to talk about during this podcast will include spoilers down to even the smallest Easter egg that we noticed. So with that being said, the title of this episode is Rogue One Killed It.
A spoiler story.
A spoiler story, exactly. All right. So overall, Travis, I posted on my Instagram about how I loved it. I know you loved it. Go into just an over. I'm trying to think of how I want to do this. Just give me an overview of what you thought of the movie.
The movie overall, it was something going into this I was kind of looking for. I wanted something that was slightly outside the main story, but was important to the overall story. So that was, as soon as I heard the concept, I was on board. As far as once we got to the movie, when the movie kind of takes off and it starts out, we're in the the planet where Jen and her father and her mother are kind of in a hustle.
The Ireland planet.
And I was the Ireland planet, and I was kind of like, oh, this is going to have that darker tone. Kind of like a little bit of a
Insidious Bastard.
Yeah, just kind of it's going to have a little bit of a darker tone, which if you guys are fans of trilogies, generally the second film in the trilogy is the drama. So it's the darker, not everything goes the way that, it should. And that's what sets you up for the third movie. But generally in a movie that's a one shot, you don't necessarily get that. And I thought that was, as soon as I got the tone, I was like, okay, we're going the right direction. And as soon as they leave that planet, to me, the movie just kind of, it was a little spotty right there at the beginning with that, like we're going to this planet, we're going to that planet, we're going to this planet, we're going to that planet. It was like they were trying to tell a lot of story relatively quickly with not a lot of detail. And I think that was probably intentional, but it was a little confusing. But once all that happened, the movie took off for me. It was like everything was exactly kind of what I wanted.
Yeah. When I went to this movie, we had talked briefly about how we weren't sure, we didn't want to watch any trailers. We wanted to stay completely in the dark. And I mean, ultimately, we knew that this movie was going to lead to New Hope. It was going to have a lot of death. It was going to be a war story. And I think Kevin Smith said this, or Mark Bernardin, but this was the most Star Wars movie that I've ever seen.
The most war.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of stuff in space. A lot of cool space battles.
They went to a lot of planets.
They did go to a lot of planets. There were a lot of stars, a lot of space, and there was a lot of war. Yep. I mean, the movie starts...
And it wasn't done like kitschy war.
No.
There was a couple of parts where, people are kind of like being martyrs and whatnot, but it wasn't like, it wasn't like, aha! And the stormtroopers could actually shoot. Bing!
For the most part.
Yeah. There were parts where they couldn't.
Yeah.
They were hitting things.
The Death Troopers definitely hit things. I don't know, but overall, this movie for me, I wasn't expecting to like it. I thought it was kind of just going to be filler in between the saga story.
You guys always underestimate the mouse.
Me and the mouse have a good relationship right now because he took control of all my Christmas classics, and I can't watch those.
But the mouse paid nearly $4 billion for Star Wars.
And you can see it.
And
this movie was
can't
great.
Mess it up.
We brought in another, this is going to go to my cons, but a lot of the characters were forgettable. And I say forgettable, like their names they didn't stand out. I know we haven't answered that, but
they're not supposed to.
I know,
be.
But we brought in another strong female character, and it wasn't like it forced that she was a woman. Barely ever do they talk about it being a girl.
Yeah,
it's just, but we have another strong female character that was introduced into the series.
Which the series has a history of having strong female characters. I saw some people complaining about it. Oh, another strong female character. I'm like, it's exactly what everybody wants in movies, and now people are actually complaining that there's a strong female character.
Well, but obviously Leia was one of the first,
Yeah.
big strong leads.
Yeah.
But for this character, it was,
Amidala is way better than freaking Anakin, like in the first.
Yeah, but this movie solely revolved around her. And so we got to see a change. But there's a lot about this movie that we didn't see, and that was the fact that Jin. So Jin is Felicity Jones's character. So
Yep.
Jin Erso.
That's it.
Erso.
Erso.
But we keep forgetting that she was a rebel. Not a rebel, but she was a radical rebel.
Yep.
From the age of, since she was 6, not since she was 16, but
When she was 6.
6, yeah.
And then she got she dropped out when she was 16.
That's a lie. That is a lie because she was.
Oh, the other person was 6.
Yeah, Cassian was 6.
Yeah,
she was 16.
No. She bailed when she was 16.
Okay,
he dumped her when he was 16.
But
so,
she had to have been 10 when her parents died.
Potentially, we don't know.
Yeah, but so the movie starts out with with the big bad, well, not biggest bad, but Krennic.
Yep.
And Kirk is the standard white imperial Nazi guy who comes in
Yep.
and talks to Mad Mikkelsen's character, who is Galen Erso, and that's Jin's father. And apparently the two of them had worked on the Death Star plans.
Yeah,
and
he's also from the Hannibal TV show, right?
Yeah, and he's also Doctor Strange's villain. Talking about Mad Mikkelsen?
Yep.
He was also the villain in Doctor Strange, as I mentioned. But no, so they come in and he says, I need you to come back up. He says, no, I've been in mourning since my family died. And he goes, oh, okay. Very I'm so sorry for the loss. Search the building. And searches for him. They have their daughter hide. But in all this commotion, his wife decides that she's not going to hide anymore, comes out, threatened to shoot Kirk, and they have her killed. Right
she
there.
did technically shoot him.
Yeah, she shot him in the shoulder. He gets shot in the shoulder a lot in this movie. I say a lot twice, but
that's a lot in one movie. Granted, it was 20 years apart, but
yeah. So, very interesting. I actually was waiting to find out that this character was born on Empire Day because that would make another main character that was born on Empire Day. I know that's never going to be a real thing that people point out, but Luke and Leia obviously were born on Empire Day. The Empire was born. Thane Kyrell from Lost Stars was born on Empire Day. Ezra Bridger was born on Empire Day. And all 4 of those people, well, at least Ezra and Skywalker twins, they're force sensitive.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a thing or just one of those coincidences. We should all have them on Empire Day, but
no, because Jin's younger, right? So she's way younger than Leia, right? Well, Leia's supposed to be.
No, she's older.
She's older than Leia. Okay.
Yeah.
So she was born before Empire Day.
She's older. I was just saying it would be interesting. I took it as in the movie she was 25.
Okay.
She was in her mid 20s, whereas Luke and Leia are supposed to be 19.
Yeah, that's true.
So with that being said, really cool opening scene. You see the Death Troopers, and they're solid black stormtroopers that can hit things apparently. So they kill Jin's mother. They kidnap her father, and then she's hiding in this rock bunker thing.
That was sweet.
Yeah, it was cool. And then she is saved by Saw Gerrera, who's played by Forrest Whitaker, who is acting the hell out of this part.
Yeah, at first I was a little he's really doing that, huh?
Well, we had seen him originally, and it looked like he had more parts in the original trailer, and also his head was shaven. They added this crazy look.
Yeah.
But I'm okay. So it's weird. I wanted him to play a bigger role because I like Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah.
And I liked his character because I didn't love him in Clone Wars, but it was interesting to tie in that he was from there. So I kind of wanted to be a little bit more involved, and said he was just crazy. But he was crazy because he's been at this.
Wasn't his head still shaved at the beginning of the movie? His hair grew out at
Yeah,
the
I think
end.
his head was
Yeah.
shaven when he found her.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, he kind of went off the reservoir or the reservation when he once we get later in the movie, but
Yeah,
yeah, I think
but
that
he's mostly machine now.
yeah, he's like Darth Vader.
He is very much like Darth Vader, both extremes.
More machine than
The man.
man.
More
I-
machine than man.
Like the way he was talking, at first I was very against what he was talking. I was like that was one thing in the movie when I was kind of like, wait, dude, you're really doing
he's
this?
the perfect. He's the opposite coin of Darth Vader. Darth Vader talks in exhale. He talks in inhale.
He also kind of had like a Mad Max feel, like because he's like all cobbled together and he has like this random air tank on him.
So we're wasting a little bit of time when we should be talking about this movie. I don't want to go scene by scene by scene because we could and we'd pick it apart.
There's really no need to.
No, but I just liked how the movie started out present time, or that point present time, and it's Jin being transported, or she's in a prison cell. She's being transported somewhere else. So we know that she's been arrested.
In an Imperial prison somewhere.
Yeah.
And then driving around in that little like tank thing.
Mm-hmm. And then there's that one stormtrooper who's just like sitting there like, oh, this day's got to end. I just want to go home. Dead. And then they get hijacked by the rebels, and rebels come to kidnap her. Because let's not mistake this. Rebels were gonna
they're just using her. Yeah, they were just using her.
And so and that kind of starts us to the story. We also early on see Diego Luna's character, Captain Andor, as a lot of the haters like to call him, the Han Solo.
He's not Han Solo at all.
No. But we see him talking to one of his informants, and he kills him. I mean, that was the start to this movie for me. It was just like, wow,
yeah,
this is where we're going. He
I think it was kind of pointing out the fact that when the Empire calls them terrorists, they really were terrorists. That's what they were. But they were, in the eyes of everything, they were fighting for the good of everything. So people kind of give them a pass, but they really were terrorists. And this kind of like is the first time they really point that out in the movies. In Lost Stars, the book, it is brought up. They point out that they are terrorists.
Yeah.
But this is the first time you've really kind of picked up on that.
You hear about it, and then you saw it.
Yeah.
And so but in this same scene that we had mentioned that Jin's getting rescued, we're introduced to the star of the movie, the character that when I walk around at Hot Topics, the one toy that's always on the shelves was K2SO.
Oh yeah,
the droid that nobody wanted, voiced by Alan Tudyk.
I was just confused by him, like when I almost bought the black figure.
And I almost did too.
And like then I was like, well, I'm gonna wait to see the movie. Now I'm like, crap, I wish I'd have bought that thing because I can't find it anywhere.
After the movie. But there's a scene where she runs away and he grabs her and then like lays her out and goes, "Congratulations, you're being rescued." And it's a really funny scene. And they said that so basically he's a robot with
no filter.
Yeah, no filter. So it was like Oscar.
She gets
the way
a gun.
I looked at it. Yeah, she gets a gun.
We just met her. One of my favorite things he said though was when they later in the movie when they are escaping, and or not escaping, but they're leaving, and she has the gun, okay, and he goes, "Do you want to know the odds of her killing you?" No, they're really high.
Yeah. I mean, everything he did, he just had, always had the last word. Or
when he's flying, when they're getting ready to go into the shield, like in the gap. Mm-hmm. And if they didn't make the shield, we'll float off into space and die basically.
Well, I wouldn't die.
I wouldn't die. I can survive in space. He was great. Like at first I thought like he was going to be stupid, like really annoying, cheesy, the Jar Jar Binks, kind of like.
And he absolutely wasn't.
He was C-3PO, but funnier. And C-3PO is pretty funny.
Yeah. Like, but so the rebels not kidnap, but they take Jyn Erso because they're going to use her to find Saul Guerrero. So Forrest Whitaker's character, because he's a radical rebel, and he's a liability to the actual rebel cause. I guess he split off a couple years ago.
Yeah, he's like the terrorist of the
terrorists. While the rebels that we know don't exist yet. The rebels right now, Rebel Alliance, are a bunch of cowards.
It's like a ragtag group of people, you know.
And the ragtag, but it's also people who aren't too afraid to do anything, or they're too unsure, they're not consistent. And so
They're also waiting for a lot of people to make decisions.
yeah.
And that tends to not go well.
But so Kazian takes Jin and K2 and they go to the planet of Jeddah. No, they go to a planet, but Jeddah is the city, I believe.
Jeddah is the planet, and the city has another name.
Okay.
Jeddah, because the Jedi temple on Jeddah, like everybody's like, oh, okay, yeah. There's that big statue which appears to be Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, it looks a lot like it.
Yeah.
But that's where we're introduced to Danny Yin and Win Zhang. Who the hell you say his name? Character. I still can't pronounce Donnie Yin's character's name. Yeah, he was one of my favorites in the movie, and I just don't remember his name. Yeah. And I'm looking at it right now. It's like Chirrut,
I think it was.
And then Win's character was Baz.
Yep.
And Baz was the gun-toting guy.
Yep.
And Donnie Yin is the blind.
Yeah.
Mystic.
So I think the interesting thing about that whole section of the movie, when they're in the city, you're kind of seeing the Empire invasion force. So we've seen the invasion force in like battle, but other than in Tatooine when they're kind of like in A New Hope when they're kind of like walking around trying to find the droids, you've not seen the occupation force. So they're like
in movies.
Yeah, in movies. You haven't seen the occupation force just like in the cities blowing things up with the tanks and like, you know, basically like trying to take over this area because they want the crystals, the Kyber crystals. And it's not something we've really seen before. And I think that's another cool addition that this movie is giving us. And these side shoot movies kind of give us the opportunity to explore, kind of showing why the rebels were so upset with the Empire and why they wanted to break free in the first place. I feel like the movies in the past didn't give you a full appreciation for that. It's kind of like, oh, here's the bad guy, you know? And yeah, he killed some rebels, but it never really explained why the rebels were. They just kind of like it. They
were just there. They were the opposing side, and now we really get to see why they were opposing.
More, yeah, we're definitely getting more of that, and I hope as they do more of these movies, you get more of that, because I think that is what,
like I said, reaction.
Yeah, and it makes the original trilogy and even some of the prequels and everything. It'll make it better because you understand better. It's similar like what you said with Lost Stars or any of the books that kind of like help go into deeper, you know, into the mythology a little deeper. It gives you more appreciation for why they were doing what they were doing. And we haven't really got that in the past in the movies. And that's why I think this was, you know, a really cool look into things.
Yeah. So we're doing it again. We're falling into the whole scene by scene. That's my fault. Basically, what they were doing, went to find Saw Gerrera. Kazian was told to kill him. They were also looking for Riz Ahmed. His character was
he's the pilot.
Bodhi Rook. Yeah. So they went looking for him. You know,
he's the escape pilot. Right?
Yeah, who got tampered with because Saw Gerrera used this like weird squid.
It's like Jabba the Hutt's cousin.
Yeah. But no. So before we get completely off topic and go down, you know, play by play, give me 5 pros to this movie for you. What were your 5 big pros that stood out? Why you like this movie so much?
The more serious approach is number 1. I think Jen's character, while some people want to complain about the acting, I think how that she had to react with her father in the hologram, her driving factor for it's almost kind of the Han Solo effect where she didn't exactly want this, but she kind of fell into it, so she went all the way to support it. I like that aspect of her character. K2, great addition.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's 3, 4. That's 3. Was that 3 or 4?
I was just listening.
That was 3. Okay, so let's see. Another awesome part of this movie was the additional planets that they go to.
Yeah.
Seeing other environments and Again, seeing the different aspects of the Empire and the rebels, and seeing kind of what they've alluded to in other movies, and kind of giving you a better background understanding of why these people were terrorists, why they why they wanted to stop the Empire. I think is a very important part of the story that we've never got before. Now you go.
All right. Well, just to go out there, K2SO. I mean, and not just a specific scene, all of his scenes were funny. He brought levity to it. And this was a dark movie, darker than I thought Disney would ever let a movie go, especially in this current time. But so K2SO, all of his quips, his interactions, even his touching moments and his sacrifice at the end of the movie, I was like, oh, am I borderline tearing up for a droid who, you know, there was a point where Jin gives him the gun and he goes, "You never cease to like amaze me," or I forget what he says exactly. I think it is amaze.
Never cease to amaze me, I believe he said.
Love that scene and then his sacrifice. I love the fact that we really are pushing that the forces of religion. We have like Donnie Yen and Wen Zhang,
Yep.
their characters, which were both, even though Win's character as is the gun-toting guy, he apparently was the most like loyal of the in the Keep of the Wise, or the
Yep.
Wills.
The Wills, because that's a
That was the original name.
That's a harken back to the original title for the story.
Yeah. But I love they weren't force sensitive, but they believed in it.
Yeah.
And Donnie Yen's character, believed it to the point,
Yep.
and then ultimately.
And just to expand slightly on that, I think that is a cool tie-in with when Han Solo is talking to Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope, and he's explaining why he doesn't believe in the Force. Is because essentially a bunch of crazies believe in a hokey religion, and he doesn't really fully understand that Obi-Wan Kenobi is a legitimate Jedi. He thinks he's more like what's his name? Donnie Yen's character. Currit. He thinks he's more like Currit. That's kind of a devout. He's like a devout believer, but he's not necessarily a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
So Han Solo, like those are the people he's referencing in that sequence.
Yeah.
And we got to see somebody that he's kind of like, yeah, if you saw him out in public saying, I am the Force, the Force is with me. And he was just saying that over and over again, you would think he's crazy. Like you would sit there and be like,
and I did at first.
Yeah.
Until he did very force sensitive things.
Yeah.
Like I know they say it's because of his hearing, but he dodged a blaster bolt.
Yes. He dodged a bunch of them.
Yeah, but to hit the one behind him, that was very force sensitive for a non-force user.
His stick that turns into a freaking blaster.
That was nuts. So there's that. That's 2. Vader in it was the perfect amount of Darth Vader. I did not need a scene longer. I didn't need the scene shorter. His introduction when Keurig goes to whine, saying, "I should be in charge of the Death Star," and Vader basically says, starts to choke him. And there's a moment where he looks at me and he goes, like, his reaction to, what was that? Did I just start to get choked? Because everyone else we've seen in like A New Hope, they kind of go, oh, and then it's over, and they're like, okay, we'll continue doing business. Where he's just like, something's happening, and I don't know why it's doing this. I like that. So Vader was a highlight, even the scene at the end. But real quick, did you know that apparently the last scene was supposed to be all of Rogue One escapes, and Vader catches them, and Vader kills them all?
Oh.
Rumor is that's what I've heard. That's how it was like originally going to end. But who knows?
I think that worked out better.
Yeah. That's 3. Number 4 would be Tarkin. I love the fact
just the digital like use of him. Like it was insane. I thought they found somebody and like made him up like him. But like what they actually did was the same thing they did in Civil War, where they took old footage and made it work.
Yeah. They did the same thing for the Red Leader and Gold Leader.
No, that was actual footage from the original movie.
Well, that's what I mean. It was original footage.
That was the original footage. Like, but they weren't moving around like out. That was just the footage of them in the X-wings.
Yeah.
Harkin's like moving around. Now they know it's like a body double type thing, and like they probably would like impose his face on him or something.
Uh-huh.
But to me, that was insane. Like,
Yeah.
this man has been dead for like 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's in a movie.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's
longer
nuts.
than he was in the
Yeah.
original.
And then to expand on this slightly more, I mean, I think you would lump this in. I mean, I know you're kind of saying that Tarkin's appearance and how he acted and all that kind of stuff, but like Leia at the end, the same technology. It was like 19-year-old Carrie Fisher is standing there.
Yeah.
I thought they were just going to show her from behind again, and then she turns around.
And number one, I know everyone's like, well, look at the eyes. Look at the eyes. I get that. But if you didn't
Don't
know
look at the eyes.
If you didn't know the character was dead and Carrie Fisher had the voice of a chain smoker.
Yeah, and she's, I mean, obviously 40 years older. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
30 years older.
No, A New Hope will be 40 years old next year.
I thought it was 30.
No.
No.
40.
No. No, the series ended 30 years ago.
A New Hope will be 40 years old next year.
Sorry, Professor.
But no, like, it's, to me, that, like, the fact that that can happen now outweighs any kind of, oh, you can tell if you look at her eyes. It happened.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, it may look hokey in like 20 years or something, but we're not 20 years from now, so just accept it.
Everyone thought Toy Story was amazing.
It's still pretty amazing.
No, but like, look at the graphics then
compared to now. Like, yeah,
everything has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So my final thing was the sacrifice. I know it's very broad, but it was the
sacrifice.
it was the I don't know. It's like we saw Han Solo in Return of the Jedi when they did the whole he looked at Leia and said I love you, and they turned to shoot and fight the stormtroopers that were staying behind him on Endor. Yeah, Endor.
Yep.
And they thought they were gonna die then, but we didn't. Yep. We knew they weren't gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
This group went in to die.
Yeah, and I mean, we all kind of assumed they were going to die because we'd never heard of any of these people.
Yeah.
But like, in the back of your mind throughout the whole movie, you were kind of building yourself up for that. So you were trying not to get attached to the characters as much, which kind of goes back to these characters aren't terribly memorable. Part of it is you knew they weren't going to be.
Well, see, I also thought that we would see, I don't know, characters like Dak. Yeah. So characters who we know die in future movies played a role, and they were the survivors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he could be in one of those planes. Who knows?
No. But the cool thing about this sacrifice is this is a tale. This is a legend told down through the rebels. Yep. Because nobody knows this happened.
Yep.
For the most part.
Yeah. Because it was just like an emergency. Like, oh, we got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they are the ones who kickstarted the
rebel, the war, basically.
And tilted it towards us.
Yep.
But no, so those are my pros. That I love number 6 is I love the soundtrack. Yeah. Everyone I keep saying everyone, but there are a lot of people out there who are hating on this movie and everything about it. But there were some good things, like the soundtrack was good.
I think the people hating literally just want to hate. Like they just do not want to understand that one, there are more Star Wars movies. There was a period of time, twice where we were like, there are no more Star Wars movies. Like, after Return of the Jedi, everybody's like, well, that was great, but now Star Wars is over. And then we got the prequels, and right, wrong, or indifferent. But the prequels ended, and we're like, well, it's over. Like, nobody thought it was going to continue on. We have more Star Wars, people. We can expand the universe. We can do more. And Disney seems to be like, pump the money. As long as it keeps making the money, we'll keep making movies, right?
Right.
That's awesome. 2.
Mm-hmm.
The past 2 movies are way better than the prequels. Like, I don't hate the prequels, but both of these are way higher quality movies than the prequels.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we've had 15 years to get better at making movies than the first one and all that kind of stuff. And technology has gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
But they have jumped on board and said, no, we're not going to use mostly CG. I know there was like model building and stuff like that in the prequels as well. But this time, we didn't CG. What are the Admiral Akbar people?
Like, Mon Calamari?
Yeah, the Malcolmari. Yeah. They're actually people in the costume.
Admiral Raditz? is the man.
Yeah.
He said, how are we going to take this down? Get me a hammerhead.
Those things were so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this gets to one of my cons of the movie, though.
Yeah, let's move on to the cons.
Okay, so I
You
had
can
this.
make fun.
I had the same issue in the prequels to Star Wars. Okay, they introduced a lot of technology in the prequels that was shiny and new, and all this like, oh, look at this, it's so clean, everything's like looking great. But then you get to the original Star Wars movies, everything's all rusty and beat up, and like nothing shiny, and all this kind of stuff. In this movie, they introduced technology even closer to A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, and Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. They introduced technology like the hammerheads. Where were those in Return of the Jedi when they're trying to take out Star Destroyers?
No, okay, I will go with you, but remember that this is the Rebel Alliance doesn't have fleets of things.
I know.
They just pick things off.
Yep.
Like they can easily collect. So
Yep.
at the time, they only had 3 hammerheads.
Yep. Just saying. Where
Okay.
are they? Where are they?
They're on the planet's surface.
Another thing. The Empire has a lot of technology
Uh-huh.
in this movie. They have different fighters. Those like weird looking
Yeah.
fighters that aren't TIE fighters that are flying around there. I don't know what they're called. They have different AT-ATs. Now, granted, they may not have deployed different AT-ATs on the different planets and things like that. Those like transport ships. There's just a lot of stuff that technology-wise they have a shield that goes around the planet. Like, why wouldn't you deploy that around the Death Star? Like, that same thing, like, it's just they introduce stuff in this movie, and they've done this in the past with the prequels, and it's almost impossible to avoid when you go back and make movies before. You come up with these great ideas, but then you don't think, well, wouldn't that have been used if they had this technology? Wouldn't they have used that down the road? And you're going to have that in every time you go back. But that was something that I was watching throughout the movie and was kind of like, why they should have just stuck to regular TIE fighters, TIE bombers, the different like ships like this, because it is like seconds away from the beginning of A New Hope. So if you had that technology as the Empire, why would you have not brought that with you to other things? I thought that they did a great job, though, in technology wise. If you look at the screens and things, like when they're uploading the plans out of the satellite and whatnot, that all kind of looked right.
Yeah.
They didn't like update it. No, it's the old 70s black screen with like white
static. There was static on the screens.
Yes, all that kind of stuff. They did a great job with that. I think the look of the Empire base, it's like the same construction. It all like lines up with what the Death Star looks like on the inside. They have the little roller droids and stuff like that. Where is K2 normal droid in the Death Star scenes? Where is he at? Like if that was an Empire based droid that was used throughout the Empire, why isn't he there? So stuff like that. It's not huge.
I know.
It's just, like to me, it's like I can ignore that, but at the same time, I'm like, man, what happened?
I want to defend that one though. So the K2SO droids,
Yep.
I think they were strictly for planet use.
Okay.
Like the only times we really saw them were they were on planets, right?
No, they were in those. I mean, I guess technically they were in the base, but that's a planet. Yeah. So I don't know that they were in the Star Destroyers. I did not see them show them, but just stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can look past it. I can ignore that. But it's just things I think about because I'm very much in a world building thing.
Yeah.
Are these going to show up later? Like these different ships, are they going to show up in 8 and 9? I don't know.
I guess.
And that's one thing I did not like. You loved Vader. I had a couple of qualms with Vader. It was awesome seeing him like lighten up people and like with his lightsaber and all this stuff. But remember, Darth Vader of old film, George Lucas had a very different initial idea for how the sword should be held. So the lightsabers had to be held like a Japanese samurai sword, two-handed. They're heavy, like they shouldn't be spinning around. Well, obviously that has changed. In the prequels, obviously these were younger Jedi. They were flipping around, doing all kinds of crazy shit. You got double lightsabers and all kinds of stuff. This Darth Vader is minutes away from being old crusty Darth Vader from the original trilogy. And he's in here like lighting people up with a lightsaber 5 minutes before that. and then what happened?
Yeah.
Like, how did he?
Well, I just want to point out you say flipping around.
Yeah.
So I watched Honest Trailers,
Yep.
and they were talking about how when Yoda trains Luke,
Yep.
all he had to do were flips and stuff like that.
Yep.
All the moves that Yoda does.
Yep.
Yeah, just thought that was
No, I mean, no, I
mind
mean,
blown.
but I mean, like, I'm just saying that, like, Darth Vader is old and
Yeah,
crusty in the original movies, and 5 minutes before that, apparently.
that Bacta tank,
I
that
know.
Bacta bath, it wore off. He
So-
was spiked with adrenaline.
So one thing though, was that planet that he's on? Is that the planet that he was on?
Mustafar. I think it was Mustafar.
So it's this planet he was on when he got burnt.
Mhm.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it's because Vader, especially if you read Lords of the Sith. Did you read Lords of the Sith?
I have not.
Okay, Vader's whole thing is like he doesn't like he can still feel the pain and the burning, and that like fuels his rage. Like he's constantly in a rage, and I
Okay.
guess being surrounded by Mustafar
Where he got burnt.
is a consistent reminder of Kenobi and the loss that he took. So it's him hating.
Yeah. I think that was, to me, I would have rather seen him a little more. And I know everybody is excited about that scene because it is super, super exciting when you're watching it.
Uh-huh.
But when I sat back and thought, like, it doesn't line up exactly right, because what you see is the Vader that everybody is afraid of. Like,
Mhm.
that's the Vader that's, going around killing people, doing this, doing that.
Yeah.
And everybody in the galaxy is afraid of him.
Mhm.
More so than in the original trilogy when he's kind of crusty and not moving around too quick. It's just, to me, it's the timing of it. That it's
No, I
like
getcha.
literally 5 minutes later, he's like, "You took the plans."
But I don't know. It kind of looked cool when you think about New Hope and why he was so pissed when
Oh,
he got
yeah.
off that.
Yeah, it does help make that come together too. I thought that scene where when they were trying to get out of that little tunnel with that chip with the plans on it,
the like
when the kid's like,
server.
take it, that was scary. Like,
Mhm.
that was terrifying. Like, if you were that guy, you would be terrified. But I mean, those are my two cons. Oh, how did Walrus Man and the guy with the nose, how'd they get off that planet?
Dude, he's wanted on 12 different planets.
Yeah, I mean, I love that he was there.
He's
I
always
thought,
on the run.
and I felt like that was not a bad, like, cameo either. Like, it was quick.
It
People that
wasn't.
knew,
And I know we said this before. I want to say it right now. This movie was fan service. Don't get angry
Yeah.
about fan service.
like, it was, but it wasn't obnoxious. It was just like, exactly. So he bumped into him. I'm wanted on,
Yeah.
like, I had no problem with it. I just want to know how he got out of there. I mean, they blew that thing up. The whole place got blown up. Did he, like?
But there was some time.
There
Like,
was some time.
People were like, it's seconds. No, they blindfolded and walked them.
Yeah, all the
to the
way out
desert.
there. Yeah, I mean, it was a good little while. I guess he had plenty. And also, though, too, so they bumped into him, and then the battles popped off.
Hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, he might have been like, "Get the hell out of here," like,
Yeah.
I'm out of here. Like, let's go to Tatooine to Mos Eisley. I mean, but that I was just like, how do you get out of there? Like, what the like? That was one thing.
Mhm.
A lot of people are complaining about the C-3PO and R2-D2.
They had to be there.
Well, I was going to say all those people can. I was going to say something bad. I'm not going to say that now because C-3PO and R2-D2 have been in every movie. They had to be in the movie, and it makes sense that they're in the movie because they had to get on the ship to get the plans inserted into R2-D2.
Mhm.
So they had to be there. Makes sense. One thing I think this movie left the door open to, though, is that, what's Leia's dad's name?
Oh, Organa?
Yeah,
Bail?
Bail. Was he on the planet?
I have to assume yes. I have to assume them saying.
But they
I'm
never
heading-
said he went back.
I know, but I assume because they said I'm going to Alderaan.
I assume because he never. I assume that because he never comes up again,
Yeah.
that he
dies.
was on the planet. But I'm just saying, he maybe didn't go back.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what was that like? What do you think? How long do you think the beginning of New Hope is until Death Star blows up? Is a week?
That's the weird thing. How long did Luke have 3CP and R2-D2? A night.
Yeah,
So
one
it was
night.
24 Tatooine hours.
the 24 Tatooine hours, and then he goes to goes over to Kenobi's house. He said we got to get in before nightfall, so we'll assume that's one more night. Then they go to Mos Eisley, so there's another, we'll assume, day.
Yeah.
And then they fly out of there, and then they go light speed, which shouldn't take too long, over to the Death Star, and then they're on the Death Star a day, maybe.
Yes, you're right. Maybe a week.
Like a week,
just short of a week.
So, in a week, did he go back? It would have been a quick trip. I mean, they would have been light speed. I don't know. I think the door was opened a little bit, but I'm sure he died. But I thought it was just interesting to think about that. And everybody who complained, I thought they aged him up good from the prequels.
Yeah,
it makes sense that he was there. He was a part of the Rebel Alliance. We've read Bloodlines and Lost Stars. They mentioned them being involved heavily in the Rebel Alliance, even though they are still technically a part of the Senate.
My girlfriend, who originally read Lost Stars and Bloodline, like she's seen the movies, but like those two books really brought her into it. And she went, "Oh my god, that's Bill Organa." Yeah, and I couldn't stop smiling because I was like, "Yeah, you're right, honey, it is."
And anybody who's complaining about the prequels, they should get rid of it. No, it makes sense he's there, and the part he was there for the right reasons. I guess some people were complaining because it's like, when he says, "I would trust her with my life," type thing, like about Leia, and I'm like, get over it.
Yeah, but a lot of people like me, I at first read it differently. I read it as he was talking about Ahsoka, but I know he's not, but because he said your Jedi friend and he said she, and to me it all blended together, and I was like, oh, a female Jedi who should still be alive would be Ahsoka.
Yeah,
but
also though I think I think though, like, adding that, it's you take it from the angle which you came from. You were kind of wanting the animated stuff to come into this movie.
Yeah,
that was something you wanted,
and there was some stuff in there.
Yeah, but I mean, you kind of wanted it to take a more prevalent,
a bigger role. But I know they couldn't because they haven't decided what they're going to do with Star Wars Rebels yet.
Well, they decided what they were going to do with Rogue One.
They are bringing in Saul Guerrero. Yep. He's going to be in the next half of the season. But they do say if you listen, you hear them say report for duty, General Sordala.
Yep. I mean, there was little pieces, as we had talked about in the previous podcast. There was little pieces here and there that tied them in and made it aware that they were there. They did not have the, hey, here's the gang. I think that actually would have been a bit too much. Like, hey, here's the gang.
But did you think it was cool that of all the in Red 5 just happened to die? Yeah. There's an opening.
I did see that. I also thought it was interesting that they create Rogue in this, the Rogue leader in this episode or in this video in this movie. I thought that was interesting. It might have been fan service, and maybe I'm just talking it up because I love these movies and I love having more in the movie realm. I like the books. I don't have time to read all the books, so to me, getting this in the film version actually adds on. I would like to see I'd like to see a live action TV show, to tell you the truth, done correctly. I would like to see that. I think that would be interesting. I mean,
what are you talking about?
Of like more Star Wars, like getting more Star Wars out there. If done correctly, a TV show I'm okay with. But I like seeing it in live action. I like the cartoons. I like the books. I just don't have time to keep up with all the books. And
well, I assume after 8, that will start happening. Once Luke is uncovered, we'll know a little bit more about his past, and they can start filling that in more.
Yep.
Because right now we don't know anything because it's going to play a big role in episode
8. Yep.
But when it comes to my cons, I don't think I have any. So there are probably something out there, but this movie, there might have been seconds that I wasn't okay with, but I can't recall any of those seconds right now. But no, I had a great time.
Yeah. Let's see. I kind of would have liked a little more R2. Just a little bit.
No, I think it was just right.
But like R2 always in every movie he has he has something that he did that advanced the plot line.
Mhm.
And in this one, he's just kind of, it is a little bit, here's the gang. I can see why people are complaining about it, but it makes sense that he's there.
But to me, it wasn't like we kind of did stop and show him, but
Yeah,
to me,
it was like pan over.
pan-
Hey guys, we're here.
they were there. It's like there's an episode of, I think it was the Cleveland show, and they spin around and look at the audience, and Peter Griffin's in the audience, and he kind of does an awkward wave, he looks down, looks back up, waves again, and looks back down. They keep panning. It's just to show that he was there. How it was to me.
Yep.
All right. Well, no, you're the host. You can close us out.
Are we closing out? We're not giving a final. We got to give the tokens.
We should give it tokens. Go ahead, lead us.
I'm giving it 4.5 tokens
Out of how many?
out of 5.
Oh, okay.
Did we do 10?
I thought we were doing 10.
Oh, 9.5 tokens.
9.5. Okay. I have to go 9.5 as well.
What are we looking at on the line right now?
Oh, IMDb.
They gave it 8.2. I feel like we did okay by saying 9.5 tokens. What's it doing on Rotten Tomatoes? How far are we off?
I'm pulling up.
Just so everybody out in the listening world knows, we did not look at any of that beforehand.
We just pulled it up.
So we're pulling it up right now. So we'll see how far we are from the public opinion.
85%.
I think our 9.5 is right in the line.
Audience, they gave it an 85. The audience scored it as a 90.
Yeah, I think we're right in line. The 10% that are hating out there, get over it.
Yeah, sane.
So everybody out there in listening world, if you want to keep up with the Token Nerds, what do you got to do? You got to go head over to, what are you laughing at?
That's just this ad. It's
like
the Lego Batman movie. It says, he's a rogue too. Screen cap that.
So anyway, if you want to keep up with the Token Nerds, what do you got to do? Head over to Instagram or Twitter and look for @token_nerd. If you're more of a fan of the thing like Facebook, head over to facebook.com/tokennerd00 and you'll be able to keep up with us on Facebook. You can also head over to our Podbean, tokennerdpodcast.podbean.com, and you can download all of our episodes there. Or you can head over to YouTube, youtube.com/tokennerd, and find all of our videos where we do things like reviews, interviews, all kinds of stuff that we've been doing for the past nearly year. You can also keep up with us on iTunes, where you can search for the Token Nerd Network, where you will also receive podcasts like The Casual Film Geeks and the Urban Vinyl Daily Weekly Wrap-Up, where they talk about designer toys, art, street art, and more. We're doing all kinds of things around here these days, so we're really just trying to provide you guys with more content and more information. But you know how you can help us do that? You can comment down in the section below. Tell us what you liked about our stuff. Tell us what you didn't like. You can also like our videos and subscribe to our channel, because all of that really helps us out. So it helps us get better in the world of YouTube.
Continue the conversation with us.
Yeah. Well, and also it helps us on YouTube. Helps get more views.
All right.
Well, I don't want to say it. It's your thing.
No, say it. Go ahead. No. It's enlightening.
Okay. Well, everyone, I'm Travis.
I'm Anthony.
Stay spicy, my friends. Hey everyone, this is Travis Lykins from Token Nerd Podcast, and I'm here today to tell you something about sponsorship. That's right, Token Nerd now has a sponsor. The fine folks at TenaciousToys.com, your source for designer toys, pop vinyl, original art, and more, are now our sponsor. And guess what? As a part of that, you can get 10% off your next order at TenaciousToys.com by entering the code TOKEN10 at checkout. That's right, 10% off. And not only are they giving you this code, they're also going to be sponsoring many of our Token Nerd giveaways in the next coming months. So make sure to follow us at @token_nerd on Instagram to catch our latest giveaways.